Hello, my loves, and welcome to a brand new episode of Glittery Goodness, your one-stop pop culture shop. And today we're going a little Kylie mad as we talk about both the Tension Tour and the Kylie documentary. Plus, as always, I'm going to give you your pop culture recommendations for the fortnight because it's been a minute, so I have a lot to fill you in on. So why don't we just get straight into it? Welcome back to Glittery Goodness. It's been a minute, life has been lifing, but here we are. We are back and we are ready to break down some pop culture with all of you. So, shall we get into some recommendations? First of all, I have to talk about some music. That is because I have become totally and utterly obsessed with two of the songs off of Madonna's Confessions of a Dance Floor 2, the sequel to the iconic, in my personal opinion, one of the best albums of all time, Confessions of a Dance Floor. Now, will number 2 stack up to its sibling? I don't know, but I will say I really, really love Love Sensation. Well, there's some irony there with how much I've just said love, isn't it? And also Bring Me Your Love, the Sabrina Carpenter track. Both of these are just really great, groovy songs. Sabrina sounds great on the collaboration with Madonna as well. I'm here for it. I kind of wish Sabrina would go down a little bit more of this vein rather than her usual stick for her next album, maybe. We'll see. I would love that. Back to Confessions of a Dance Floor 2. I'm intrigued because I don't love I Feel So Free as much. So I'm like, which way is this album going to lean? Is it going to go Bring Me Your Love, Love Sensation, or is it going to go the I Feel So Free route? So I guess we shall see. But yeah, so very excited to see that one drop. But speaking of full albums that have dropped, I need to talk to you about Niall Horan's album. Now, I'm not necessarily a One Direction kind of guy. I'm more of a Harry fan. When I tell you I have fallen in love with this Niall album, with Dinner Party, it's called. It is stunning. It is mature. It is a vibe. It honestly does feel like Dinner Party music, and I mean that as a compliment, not a diss. I really love this. I think it is a really well thought out total package. It's an album's album, if that makes sense. So if you haven't heard that one, go check it out right now because it is really, really great. Up next, we're going to talk about some television. Alright, when it comes to TV, there is one thing that I have been watching a lot of lately that I am just like, what is happening? And that is 90 Day Fiancé UK. Yes, there is a UK version of 90 Day Fiancé, and it is just as wild as the American counterpart. Although, interestingly, made by the same people that made Married at First Sight UK, so, But, anywho, these people, I honestly do not know how the US version and the UK version find the participants for these shows, because the amount of things that they keep secret from one another is astounding. Such simple things that just turn into these massive issues because they just don't communicate. I swear, half of the problems that happen on 90 Day Fiancé, in any form of which you seek it, be it the US, UK or otherwise, could be solved by just great communication. But it does make for wonderful television, and I'm very here for the chaos. One thing that has really made me love 90 Day Fiancé UK is Ara and Andy. Now, I think this story is really great to tell, from Andy's use of a wheelchair and how he gets around differently. But the thing I find really interesting is something that I often come up against as a wheelchair user myself, is that because people see you having to move through the world differently, they immediately expect that you can't hold your own, look after yourself, or in this case, hold down a job to provide for their daughter for Ara and Andy's story. And it annoys me, but I think it's a very important story to tell on a global scale, really, because he's gone over to see her and he's kind of defending himself to her family. So much so that where I'm up to at the minute is he's about to propose, which she doesn't want to do, but that's another story. I might actually spin this off into mini recaps because I'm really enjoying this series, and I don't know, maybe you'll enjoy coming along with the ride with me. So we might rewind and go through in mini form the episodes of which I've already seen and then finish out the journey. But I really like that Andy is on this show and is representing for people with disabilities. I think that is really bold and wonderful of 90 Day Fiancé UK, and I kind of wish there was more of it because I think it's valuable and it's valid and it's great. When it comes to podcasts, I have to tell you there is a brand new episode of Believe in Magic, which is all about the kids' cancer charity that turned out to be a little bit more than what met the eye. And this is hosted by the wonderful Jamie Bartlett. You have to check this out because there is also a documentary about this now, and it reveals some details which I won't spoil, but it's very worth it. It is a very well put together podcast series, and this extra episode sort of finishes it out as best you can, I guess. Speaking of British themed or centric podcasts, I have to tell you, I am enthralled by the Jade Goody series from British Scandal, now no longer Wondery, but an Audible podcast. And I am very much on board with this. It's a very interesting way to retell Jade's story, and with a focus on, of course, the Celebrity Big Brother incident. But I do quite like how they're retelling Jade's story from the very beginning through that, and then obviously where they will take it from there. Really, really well done to the British Scandal and Wondery Audible teams, because I'm really enjoying it. After the break, we're going to get into the Kylie Minogue of it all. So I'll see you in just a second. Welcome back, my lovelies. It is time that we talk about Miss Minogue, who is having quite the moment with not only her documentary falling onto Netflix, but also the Tension Live Tour also documentary. I'm going to start there because I find it the most bizarre of the bunch. It feels less like a lot of these tour films that we're seeing and much more of a documentary. I also, if I had to critique it, don't love the way they've jumped around multiple different cities. It just feels a little scattered, whereas a lot of these tour things we're seeing seem to be centered on mostly, with probably the exception of the Eras tour, mostly one date, right? So it's all shot at one date. Whereas this felt really scattered, especially with the way they presented it. It would be one thing if they'd shot it across different dates but didn't make such a big deal out of it. But I feel like it's made it even more scattered, and I don't love that. Which is a shame, because I've been waiting a very, very long time to be able to relive this tour. So I'm a little disappointed that it's sort of come in the way that it has. But we have the live album, and for that I'm very grateful. Let's talk about the documentary, and I'm going to start with what I don't love, and we're going to end on the positive, alright? I don't particularly love that the majority of this documentary is Kylie through other people's eyes. What I, as a fan, had personally hoped for was more of Kylie through Kylie's eyes, not Kylie through Nick Cave's eyes or Jason Donovan's eyes. By the way, Jason kind of came across as a little bit salty and kind of, ugh, why am I here in that documentary? I'm just saying. But I was hoping it was more Kylie through her own lens. But that is definitely not what we got. It was still great to see like a lot of the home footage stuff. As a fan, I loved that. Stockake and Waterman stuff also. But Pete Waterman also sounded like he really didn't want to be there at all. It was just a bit of a weird documentary. It's kind of Kylie through different gazes, yet they've just called it Kylie. You could have at least called it, I don't know, Kylie through a lens or something. Because they also skipped over massive parts of her career from her kind of rebirth with the Aphrodite era, the X album, really. Massive chunks of her career just kind of brushed over. At the bare minimum, it should have been 4, 5, maybe even double the order and make it 6 episodes. Because as a fan, seeing all these big moments just kind of pushed aside, but the weird shoehorning of Glastonbury. Because yes, it makes sense when her talking about her previously going to do Glastonbury before her first diagnosis, but it was just really weirdly shoehorned. Again, I will take any Kylie content. As a Kylie fan, I will watch any Kylie content, do not get me wrong. But for something that had been so hyped, it just felt half-baked to me. Maybe we should just be so lucky that we got what we got. I don't know. It just... yeah. But if you haven't seen either of them, do go and check them out on Netflix, because I promise the documentary is worth it. I just wish they'd done it in a different way. And of course, the tour is the tour. She's made that choice. Now it's done. But there you have it. That is your Glittery Goodness lot for this episode. But I will see you very soon with more recaps and such and all the things as we try and get back on track now that my life might be slightly more ordered chaos than totally disordered chaos. So thanks for bearing with me. We will be back to normal transmission very soon. But in the meantime, if this week has been difficult, do not despair. You're not broken. You're just a disco ball. I'll see you soon. Bye.